This is going to piss off a lot of anti-Tories, but stay tuned because you might learn something. You might even learn how to maybe persuade them to vote for you. Most people I know who vote Conservative, so people I work with and some of the people in my friendship circle, they just want to be left the fuck alone. They want a small state that won't necessarily tell them how to live their lives. Take notes, Boris Johnson. They want low taxes so they have more money to spend however they wish. They don't necessarily want us to get involved in foreign international affairs, such as bombing other countries to rubble. They're also rather nationalist and patriotic. They don't want a government that is going around the world apologising for Britain's sins of the past. Take notes, Labour, Lib Dems and Greens. Also take note some of the Tories because they've become wishy-washy and wet-wipe recently. All of them are pro the existence of the welfare state and helping people who need it. Some of them are also not a massive fan of governments just printing money. They want a well-funded welfare state, but they also want some cutbacks, such as spending money on useless initiatives, such as foreign aid, which more often than not just goes into the pockets of regimes. Or diversity and inclusion initiatives, which are costing the taxpayer an absolute fortune, and all they're doing is just discriminating based on race, religion, gender, nationality and sexuality when it comes to hiring. So we're not hiring the best and brightest, we're hiring based on who ticks the most boxes, which is kind of discriminatory. And a lot of them aren't necessarily in favour of the unsustainable open borders policy that has existed for the last 20 years. And yes, the Tories are completely useless on this issue because I don't think they understand why their voters want it to be done. And calling them racists and bigots is not necessarily a good way to win their votes, because the UK's border policy was not always like this. It's only been since 1997. Before that, we reasonably controlled the numbers of people coming in. But because we don't now, we are constantly playing catch up. We are constantly having to build dozens and dozens and dozens of housing estates. And in the areas of London, we are seeing the green belt being demolished, which is incredibly bad for the environment. Those of you who don't know what the green belt is, it's essentially if land has never been built on, you are not allowed to build on it. It essentially prevented London from expanding all the way out to Birmingham. But the Conservative Party don't seem to believe in any of these things. Their policies seem to revolve around how can we get the opposition to vote for us. Okay, we'll be more inclusive, we'll be more diverse. We won't necessarily control the borders. We'll raise taxes a little bit. We will completely screw over the poor and the elderly, despite the fact that the elderly overwhelmingly vote for us. We will tell our citizens and our voters how to live their lives, despite the fact that we can't even take our own advice. But the opposition tells us we need to do it, and we need to do more, so we'll do some of it. Maybe if we do the things that they want us to do at the speed limit, they'll vote for us. The party won't do what the voters want them to do, and none of the other parties are offering anything different. If you want to win a landslide, do what I just said.